when we're thinking about malnutrition, I think we often start to think of that stereotypical image of a very emaciated child, for example, the big belly that happens because of kidney damage, or just really that sickly, pallid look that we often see when we think of malnutrition. But that doesn't happen overnight. There's often stages before we get to that really extreme image. And I think it's really important, especially for caregivers who are with the children every day and observing them every day, to just understand that those different nuances and when it might be a good idea to bring attention to a medical professional. So more obvious symptoms would be if you're noticing that a child is not changing in stature. Often we'll go and see children that look like they're 4 or 5 years old, but they're actually 8 or 9 years old. So there's very significantly stunted growth in those cases. Another thing to look out for is bone malformations. Sometimes you'll see bowing of the legs, so the kids' legs will be bowed out. You might see changes in head formation, where parts of the skull might be protruding in a kind of a less natural way. So those often mean that the bones aren't adequately forming. Maybe there's not enough minerals in their diet to have good bone formation, or they're not keeping up with the growth that they need to be at. Another thing to look out for would be teeth, the way that their teeth come in. Again, often children who are malnourished may not have enough teeth coming in fast enough, and that similarly has to do with mineral density and adequate nutrition. Less obvious signs and symptoms might be their skin, for example, skin texture, scaliness, rashes, bumps, things like that can indicate that there's nutrient deficiencies. Colors of their eyes, clouding of the eyes or yellowness in the parts that should be white is an indication that there might be some nutrient deficiencies or malnutrition happening. You want to also look at their tongue. If you notice that their tongue is really swollen, or it might have ridges in it, or you might notice that there's discoloration. There's something called geographic tongue, where you'll see patterns of a different color on the tongue. It looks unnatural. It probably is unnatural. Another thing to look out for is their fingernails. You might notice ridging, or the shape might be flat instead of being rounded. You might also notice that the white part might be extended. So rather than it being a pink or a pale color, you might notice that it's white throughout the nail. And those are all indications of usually of some sort of nutrient deficiency that might be going on with the child.